Yo, what is good YouTube, and welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we're going to be ranking the best free cards in NBA 2K23 MyTEAM here on this tier list. Before we hop into the video, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 10,000 subscriber mark on the channel. I upload every single day, and I would really appreciate it if y'all do subscribe. Additionally, this list will not include Russell Westbrook because I'm recording this video on Wednesday. Russ comes out Thursday, so I don't exactly know where he's going to rank on this list because we don't know what his stats and badges and animations look like yet. My guess is that he'll be somewhere around the A tier in terms of free cards. I'm not 100% sure. He is only 6'3", but it does depend on what his jump shot looks like, his dribble six, things like that, as well as his defensive badges. I think he's going to be good, I do, but I don't know exactly where he'll fall under this list. But just keeping that in mind, he's not on this list. If there's any other free cards that aren't on this list that you'd like to hear my thoughts on, feel free to leave a comment and I'll let you know about those as well. Without further ado, let's hop right into it. We got Andre Drummond as the first card on this list. I think Drummond goes C or D. Probably D, to be completely honest, because he is only 6'10". He can't play power forward. He's not a great shooter. He's not a good playmaker. He's just an undersized center who's a main rebounder, and mainly a rebounder and a defender. He's just, I don't know, he's not a great shooter. His release isn't good. He's just a very, very mediocre card, to be completely honest, and I do think he's a D tier guy. I'm going to throw Andrew Wiggins up in the A tier for now. I do like Wiggins. I think he's a pretty good card. I don't love his release. That's my main thing with the card that I don't love. His SIGs are decent, not exceptional. He is a very good defender and an absolutely elite slasher with a great player build at the 2, but mediocre release does hurt the card, and that is why he's not an S tier guy for me. I'm going to go AD in B or C. I don't know, honestly, where I put AD. I think probably B. He's not bad at the power forward position. He's just not next level elite, but I do think he's a pretty good card. Release is pretty mediocre on AD as well at this point, but he does have normal fade, pretty decent SIGs, and great defensive stats and badges, so I think he's a pretty good card. Adebayo is basically similar to AD in that he's a great defender, but he doesn't have the playmaking that AD does. Similar release, but he's an inch shorter than AD. Not as good of a playmaker, and for that reason, I'm putting him a tier lower and putting him in the C tier. Cedi Osman's also going to go A tier for me. I think he's a great shot creator. I like his release a lot. He moves pretty well. He's 6'7", can play the 2, has all the key badges, at least on gold, and quick drops off 1. I think he's very solid and definitely an A tier type of guy. Chris Paul, 6 foot, can't dunk. I don't think there's that much else that needs to be said. Most of these trophy case opals at this point are not that good. The only reason I'm really including them is because they're free Galaxy opals, but none of them are really all that good. There's a couple that are decent, but Chris Paul is not one of them. He's definitely a D tier guy. Clyde Drexler's C or D as well, probably C because he's got a decent release and he's a good slasher, but his movement isn't that good. He's not a very good defender. Pretty mediocre card as well. Now, Damian Lillard's going D tier. He is a bit bigger than CP3, but he's not as good of a defender in terms of the stats and badges. That being said, he is a good shooter, but I don't love his release, and his dribble SIGs aren't good either. So even though he can slash and he's got a little bit more size than CP3, the bad SIGs and the fact that I don't love his release are enough for me to still put him in D tier, especially still being an undersized PG. Dennis Johnson goes high B for me. I think there really aren't that many good free PGs right now in my team. I think you could argue that DJ maybe, no, I'm gonna put him A because I think he's maybe the best free point guard, or at least top 2 free point guards that we have in the game right now. Hopefully Russ will be better than Dennis Johnson, but DJ's fine. I think he's definitely a low A tier guy. He's got great dribble SIGs and he's a great defensive PG. He is only 6'4", and he's got quick drops off 1 as well, but he's not an elite shooter, and that's the main thing that holds him back. But he's a great defensive PG, incredible defensive badges, and amazing dunk animations as well as dribble SIGs. Donovan Mitchell is 6'1", and I don't adore his release. I don't love his dribble SIGs. This Donovan Mitchell has the release on normal, whereas the other Donovan Mitchell that isn't free has it on quick, which is also a little bit annoying. He is still a great slasher and a semi-solid defender, but undersized. I don't love his release or his SIGs, even though they are both pretty good. So I think he's a C tier guy as well. I'm going to put a lot of these short PGs in D tier, and Gilbert Arenas is another one of them. I just don't think he's that good. I don't love his release. He's not a great defender. He doesn't move that well. He's got decent size, but he's only 6'3", 6'4", so he's not big. And he's just, I don't know, doesn't do anything on the court extremely well, in my opinion. So I don't think he's that good either, and I think he's D tier. JaVale McGee is a pretty decent center. He's a much better version of an Andre Iguodala, still very good on the interior, still athletic and a great dunker, but he can hit the 3 better. He's got a better release and he's got better size, so he's probably around the B tier. You might argue C for him, but looking at the free cards that we have right now, I do think he's probably low B at the center position. E is definitely an S tier guy. E is a top 3 power forward in my team right now, in my opinion. I think he's really, really good. Really like his release a lot. He moves well. He's got good dunk animation, solid dribble SIGs. Overall, really good card, 7 foot at the power forward position as well. Definitely like the card a lot. Jimmy Butler goes C tier because I don't like his release. That's the main thing with Jimmy at this point, is that his release is ugly and kind of slow. He's a great defensive guy and he's got good size at shooting guard, but he doesn't have great dribble sigs either, so not a big fan of Jimmy Buckets. I think Dr. J also goes A tier. I just don't think he's quite S tier anymore, to be completely honest. There really aren't that many S tier free cards in my team, to be completely honest with y'all. I just think the free cards that they've been dropping recently have been a bit limited, with the exception of a few in terms of being elite top tier cards in my team, like the best of the best. So Dr. J, who's been out for a long time, was at one point the best shooting guard in the game, honestly, for a while, but his release only being on normal and the fact that his sigs are like good but not insane, as well as the fact he doesn't have normal fade, are a few annoying things about the card that could be a bit improved. Hoping that trophy case cards get an Evo still. I don't expect it, but maybe we'll get lucky and they will. Otherwise, the next Dr. J with upgraded sigs and a great sped up release should be an elite level shooting guard again. Karl Malone is another A tier free card in my opinion. He's got decent size, a decent player build, very athletic, good defender, can shoot at a pretty solid level, and has good playmaking ability. I think he's a better AD. I think he's really solid. I'm definitely a fan of Karl Malone. I think he's a great no money spent type card and definitely holds an A tier spot for me. Now, KG is an obvious S tier. No doubt about that at all. KG does a lot of things well on the court, to be completely honest. I mean, he's the second best or best power forward in the game, depending on if you think Giannis is better than him or not. But he's got an elite release. He's an amazing playmaker, really good rebounder, incredible defender, and moves really, really well with amazing sigs. So a top tier card. KG is definitely an S tier guy. Kyrie, again, I'm probably going to go D tier. I don't know. We're going to have a lot of D tiers in this video, to be completely honest, because there's a couple more guys on this list that I would also put in D tier. But I don't know, man. Kyrie, he's short. He doesn't slash well compared to the other Kyrie, which slashes a lot better. His sigs aren't that great, and neither is his release, in my opinion, which you would like to see be improved. He's not like awful. I'd probably take him over the other guys in D tier, but I do still think he is probably a D tier guy. Not as good as a guy like Donovan Mitchell, in my opinion, and I think D tier is fair. Larry's C tier only because he's got good size, small forward, and can play defense, but he doesn't dribble that well, and his release is mid at best. Like, Larry is probably the most disappointing card of the year. We've talked about it a lot. I know a lot of other YouTubers have talked about it as well with Larry, but he's just not that good, to be honest. He's a C tier guy. I think Oluwakandi's definitely S tier among free cards. Very good release, helps with the fact that he's got a low 3-ball rating. He's got a great player build, pretty good sigs, rebounds really well, good interior defender, great interior badges on both ends of the court. And like I said, the really good release helps with the fact that he has a low 3-ball rating, because I do think he's a very, very good card all the way around. Miles Turner's going to be another A tier guy. I think he's better than a guy like JaVale McGee. He's got off limitless and a pretty good release at the center position. Great defensive ability as well. He's one of the better defensive bigs. A little bit undersized, only 6'11" at center, and he doesn't have the playmaking to play power forward at a high level, but I do still think he's a very good all-around card, and he's definitely a tier-ish type of guy. OG Anunoby. I don't know if I would be crazy to put OG in S tier, but I think you could argue he's like a top 5 small forward in the game. I really think this OG card is very good. I'm actually going to throw him in the A tier, or in the S tier, because I really do think he is that good of a card. He's got a release that I like a lot, is a decent playmaker, and an elite level defender. I think OG's a very good card. Also has the normal fade. Don't expect him to do too much. He's not going to run your offense or anything, but he's a very capable all-around card. I legitimately think he's an S tier guy. Patrick Ewing, another D tier card. This card is terrible. He's slow, has a really bad release. Like, what else do you need to say? This card is not good at all. He was not good the day he came out at the end of Season 1. He is just terrible. Paul Pierce, but the only reason he's on this list, in all honesty, is because of the fact that he has a free Galaxy Opal. So Paul Pierce is going to go B tier. He does have half anchor and good size at the 2, so he's a pretty good defender. He has his release on very quick, but it's still not that great. He does have really good shooting badges, though. He's a pretty solid card, has decent sigs. Don't think he's good enough to go in the A tier compared to guys like Jetty Osman and Andrew Wiggins, who are the 2s in A tier, but I don't think he's horrible. I think he's a B tier guy. Ray Allen's also going S tier for me. Definitely a top 3 shooting guard in my team. Elite sigs, elite dunk animations, and very good all-around badges. Obviously an incredible shooter. And the main thing with the Ray that I don't love is the fact that he's only 6'5", which is why I'm not sure he's the best shooting guard in the game, but I definitely think he's top 3. He's really good all the way around, and he's definitely an S tier free card, one of the best cards on this list for sure. Robert Covington is okay. I mean, he's a 3-and-D guy, but I don't love his release. He's a good defender. He's got decent size, the 2, not going to do much in terms of playmaking. He's better than the guys in D tier, but I think he's a C tier guy. in all honesty. As well as Sean Kemp, who I think goes right next to Bam Adebayo, another C tier type of guy. Not a special card by any means. His release is pretty good. He's a great athlete, but he doesn't have much in terms of playmaking, and his defense is average. So he's good enough to not be in D tier, but again, not super high on the card. Spencer Dinwiddie goes B tier because I like his release a lot, and he is 6'6" at the point guard position. There's one significant flaw with Spencer Dinwiddie that prevents him from being higher on this list, and that's the fact that he doesn't have handles for days, which is a very crucial badge, but I still like the fact that he has good size and elite shooting ability at the point guard position. So I think he's still high enough to be B tier, but if he had handles for days, he'd be higher up on this list, maybe A or even possibly S on this list. I'm going to put Tim Duncan in the B tier as well. I would not take him over Karl Malone. Would I take him over Miles Turner? At the power forward position, probably. At the center position, probably not. I don't love his release. He's not a playmaker, but he is an incredible rebounder and interior defender, one of the best in the game at those things. And he does have 20 Hall of Fame badges. I just don't like his animations. I don't like his release. I don't like the fact that he can't dribble. He's very limited in a lot of areas, which is why I only put him in the B tier, but not a bad card. Still a B tier type of guy. Tobias Harris is a pure catch and shoot guy. Doesn't do much else on the court besides catch and shoot. He is an elite catch and shoot player, but he doesn't really do anything else on the court at a super high level. So again, we're going to go C tier for Tobias Harris. He's not a playmaker. He's not a great defender, mainly just a catch and shoot shooter. Trae Young, the worst card on this list. I hate Trae. I think he's terrible. I'm so low on Trae Young. This was the worst level 40 card in the history of my team. Y'all have heard my rant on Trae Young before. Why was this card a level 40? Obviously D tier. Card is terrible. Trevor Ariza goes A tier. Decent SIGs. I don't love his release, but it's decent. He does have great dunk animations, great all around stats and badges, and is a very good defender. So Ariza is a very solid card and is an A tier free card for me, as well as Tyreke Evans, who's high A in my opinion. You could argue him S, but I don't think his release is quite good enough to be S, but it's not a bad release. He's got good size, great badges, especially playmaking, solid defender. I think he's a pretty good card. And then we'll throw Zach LaVine in the B tier as well. Very similar level to Paul Pierce in my opinion. More athletic, probably slightly better SIGs, and a slightly improved release, but he is smaller. Not quite as good on the defensive end of the court. LaVine was a pretty meh level 40. Not as bad obviously as Trae Young, but not a great level 40. Hoping that Dark Matter Tyler Hero will be a better level 40 in next season. But with that being said, that is going to wrap it up for this tier list of the best free cards in the game. Like I said, if there's any cards that I left off this list that you'd like to hear my thoughts on, feel free to leave a comment and I'll let y'all know. Also, if you did enjoy the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon. I appreciate y'all. Peace.